Welcome to the Rockin Rich Lynch on the Radio Show. I'm your host, Rockin Rich Lynch, inviting you to join me as we discover great new music by bands and artists from around the world. With interviews, music news and reviews, great prizes, and a whole lot more. Visit us online today at soundpress.net for great music promotion and publicity. Hi, this is Rockin Rich Lynch, and you're listening to the very best of Rockin Rich Lynch on the radio. We recently moved our operations from the New York, New Jersey market to Nashville, Tennessee, and we are now looking for a production and broadcast partner in the region to take the radio show to new heights. If you're a band, musician, solo act, or represent a musical project in any genre, please visit soundpress.net and our new site, musiccitynashville.net, to learn how we can help get your message to the world. Now, please enjoy this great interview from our archives. All right, the man we're about to speak with is known for his work in bass playing and being the singer and frontman for the hard-rocking King's X for over 3 decades now. Now he's teamed up with George Lynch and Ray Luzier of Korn for the hard-rocking, powerful new outfit called KXM. It gives me much pleasure and honor to welcome to the program right now Doug Pinnick. Hey, Doug, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing great.
So, Doug, I am a fan of you. I want to tell you about how I got turned on to King's X, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
It was 1988. I had my first real job. I'm working with a bunch of guys in a hotel, taking care of all the events as they fill up and close down. Doing that job, and at the end of the night, we would often steal a couple beers and go out to the car and listen to music, and this guy goes to me, "You got to check out this band I just heard." And we spent the next 2 hours listening straight through twice, maybe 3 times, to the first debut album of King's X, Out of the Silent Planet. What a great album. You guys really knocked it. You guys set the bar really high.
Oh, man, thank you.
And on that album, Doug, was the great and remarkable Goldilocks. That is just a perfect song. They don't come any better than that. I love that one. Did everything just come together for the recording of that tune?
Well, Ty wrote that song, and I remember I went in the studio to sing it, and yeah, it was, for me, it was a bit different than what you got out of it, because number one, I did not write the song, so sometimes it's very hard for me to sing someone else's lyrics, and but I did the best I could, and I always feel in my heart that I didn't do a good job on it. And when it's become one of our fans' favorite songs, and so I'm really, really excited that people love it. But it's difficult for me to even appreciate it because I don't feel like saying it well. Hey,
wow, that's it. That's interesting. I've just recorded a song myself, Doug, and it's like some days I like it, some days I'm like, what was I thinking? So I know that changes. But I've spoken to other musicians who love you, and they love that song.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
across the board, it's called a hit that never was, you know.
Yeah. Now, the new band is KXM. You're working with George Lynch and Ray from Korn. The new album sounds great. What are your favorite songs from the album?
Oh, dude, I don't really have favorites because the record happened so quick, and I, the lyrics and everything came so fast that to me, like, the whole record is sort of like a diary of the last year or so, or just the way I'm feeling about life. It's really hard to find the song that I like the most because, every song has a different emotion that I can attach myself to. Seriously, I don't mean to sound evasive, but I just don't know what else to say.
Hey, yeah, that's okay. That's okay, because Doug Pinnick is on the phone with us right now, the great vocalist, singer, bass player for the new KXM supergroup outfit, whose brand new album, the self-titled KXM, is out right now. Also working that 30-plus year career with King's X. On the phone with us right now, kingsxrocks.com is that website. KXM Official on Facebook. Are there any other pages that you would direct people to?
RapThatRecords.com. You can find everything about us there, too. Also, Doug Pinnick fan page. And then we got the KXM fan page on Facebook. And, goodness, George Lynch, Lynch Mob, all that stuff. You can go anywhere that we make music, and there'll be a link.
Doug, I'll tell you the songs I liked. Opening up the album, Stars, it burst out of there right like a supernova, a really good opening track.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Gunfight had me really engaged. There was a lot of interesting stuff happening in the lyrics there, and I'm going to ask you a little bit more about there. Now, Sleep, I always like Sleep, so just the name of that song alone, but had a really nice, crisp, clean approach with a really nice breakdown in there. So these songs just really pop out of the speakers, and I know fans of all three bands, King's X, The Lynch Mob, and Korn, are going to just love this KXM album. I'm happy for you, Doug. It's good stuff.
Thank you.
Now,
thank you very much.
Now, I have a new segment on the show, Doug. It's called Love and Loathe. They're two very similar sounding words with completely opposite meanings. What do you love about the creative process of making music?
I love the outcome when it's all done and you listen back to what everybody's done and you see the whole picture and it's done and there's nothing else you can do about it. That's my favorite part, whether you like it or you hate it. But it's that the end result of it. The process going through it, I don't think about it a whole lot because it's a part of it's working and it's creating and you get you know, I love it all, honestly. Seriously, I'm sitting there thinking the end, but I'm thinking about in the middle where when you're coming up with riffs. I mean, like when we came up with the riff on Rescue Me, it was just so exciting. You know, all I could think about was this is a fucked up Led Zeppelin riff, you know, and I thought, oh, people are gonna like this, you know, and just little things, you know, we'd work on a song and I'd get the bass part that I liked and Ray would get the drum parts going great, and then all of a sudden George would come in with something really off the wall that just sets up a whole nother thought of another color, you know, on top of what you're doing, and it's really exciting if you're working with people who are engaging and have lots of great ideas, and they're not the type of people that force you to do what they want you to do, which is what I love about this record.
Doug Pinnick is on the phone with us, the longtime voice-bass player of King's X, now working with KXM, the new supergroup, KXM Official on Facebook. Great new record. Hey, Doug, we love probably the very much underrated Phil Kagi on the website, and I read that you can't talk about Phil?
Yes, we can. I love Phil.
Well, you know, we love him. Now, we were turned on to him probably 1991, I think. We probably first saw him in 1992. And I've been he used to play where I am in northern New Jersey like 4 to 10 times a year. Not as much. The touring has definitely slowed down these last bunch of years. But I've probably seen Phil about 20 times. God, we love him. You got to be in his touring band early on in the 80s. How was that for you?
You know, he's one of the greatest guitar players I've ever heard in my life. And Jerry and I both played with him for a couple tours. And, you know, we'd play with him, and then he would do an acoustic set, and we would go up into the balcony of the auditorium and just watch it with our jaws on the ground for an hour watching him play acoustic guitar, then get back up and play with him. And even now, Phil played on Jerry's solo record a few weeks ago. And Jerry called up and said, dude, this guy's the greatest guitar player in the world. I forgot, you know. And it was like, and he was one of the greatest people in the world, too. Just the coolest guy around.
Yeah, Doug, we feel the same. We feel the same way. Hey, now, Doug, I read online in 2006 you had been addressing some breakup rumors about King's X, and you had some very open and insightful thoughts about what it's been like for you personally and the battles that King's X have had to go through in the music industry. You know, can you recall some of those feelings that you had? I mean, it's been a tough go at it for King's X in a lot of ways, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean that was in the past. What happened was someone asked me, just, you know, a lot of people just don't understand what goes on to do what you do when you make music. They just think you can just go make a record and put it out and go tour, and it's no big deal. Why aren't you doing this? And so, and they were wondering, you know, when I say that we couldn't afford to get a tour bus and things like that because everything's so expensive and you go home broke. And they thought that I was really complaining and sending out this SOS or something, but I was just trying to say to a fan personally, this is the struggle that I go through when we do what we do, because he was saying, why aren't you guys touring? Why don't you come to my place to play? And why don't you? And I said, this is the difficulty in what we do. What he did was immediately posted the whole thing on Blabbermouth, and it turned into this, which it had nothing to do with it. People were thinking that we were going to break up. They were thinking that I was frustrated. They were thinking that I wanted to kill myself. And I said, sometimes you get to a point where, why am I doing this? And you get depressed and you want to die, and you feel like, just like anything that you go through when you're disappointed, you have all these feelings. And so I was trying to explain that to this person. And I think the public took it as me in a corner someplace getting ready to kill myself, and King X was going to break up, which was furthest from the truth. So I had to clarify that. The other thing was, all I was trying to do was let people know that it's not easy what we do, just like anything else that you do. People forget that this is a job, this is work. When people call me up and want to ask what I'm doing, well, I don't call them up at their job and say, so what's it like, what's your job, what are you doing, what are you doing today? Oh, you had to go talk to your boss today, you had a meeting today, what was the meeting about? It's like you don't call people up and ask them what they're doing at work. Well, this is what people forget, that we're working too. And we're trying to make ends meet and trying to budget things out, and there's things that we can't do and can do. If we can't afford a tour bus because we're not charging people enough, or we got to up the price, then all of a sudden people think they're getting ripped off because we're asking for too much, and then they think we're greedy because we want more money. And then if we say, well, we can't get a tour bus, then somebody pops up and says, well, why don't you ride in a van instead of a tour bus? You don't have to. And then all of a sudden it becomes everybody's business. And it's so unfair, because that's, people don't do that to each other. Their neighbors, when you go to work every day, you don't do that, and you don't make demands. You don't walk up to somebody who builds houses and say, would you come over to my house and build a house for free for me? Or, hey, come on over to my house and hang out, let's build something. Well, it's like people don't get it, that this is not us getting up, playing the guitar and jumping around and having fun, which we do. We have fun. It's something that we love to do. It's something we were made to do. But like I said before, there's another side to it that people forget.
Right. Doug, you wouldn't be the first musician to say that the best, part of it is the 90 minutes you get to, play on stage, and the rest of it is, you almost wish you didn't have to deal with it in a lot of ways.
It can get to that point. Some people deal with it better than others. I'm a social person in many ways. I'm an extrovert, introvert. When I'm alone, I am alone. I lock myself in a room and you won't hear from me. But if there's a lot of people out there and I have to go out in public, I'll turn around and I come out of myself and I have a lot of fun. And so, it's a really a good life, because I don't have to clock in from 9 to 5. When I have my time, and I can go do what I want to do without having a boss yelling at me all the time. But yet, I am my own boss, so I don't have much time to myself. I have to pay myself. I have to pay the people that work for me. I have to pay my taxes. I have to do all that stuff that everybody else does. So, it's just a job that we love to do. And I always have to go back to it. If you're doing a job that you love to do, then it doesn't seem like work. And somehow you're driven to do it, and the reward is the end result. It's not money. It's the piece of art that you made.
Of course, you are in an industry now where your fandom has access to social media 24/7. You got 100,000 different opinions all the time. And, there's always been that level of fandom associated with the music industry, but now everybody can talk about it and pass it on instantaneously. It's something that has to be dealt with, I imagine.
Yeah, you have to, because it's just people's opinions. Like my mom always says, don't tell everybody your business. Think about it. If you go to your family and tell them all about the things that you're going through, then all of a sudden they become your judge and jury. They know more about you, and they think they know what you need or what to tell you. And when they're not there, they're not behind the closed doors. They don't know what you're going through. So it's sometimes, our lives need to be private, even though we make rock music. So we're not private. I mean, that's just the way it is, and it's not going to ever be that way.
Hey, Doug, just a couple more. In published reports, you've said you feel that KXM's a brand new band and you're ready to conquer the world with it. If you achieve that next level with KXM, would it be hard for you to put the focus back onto King's X as a full-time endeavor?
No, because hopefully if KXM became successful, then that means that we'll turn a bunch of people on to King's X again, and I'll get back to my first love, you know. There's room for Jello. I always say there's always room for Jello. You know, it's a big rock world out there, and we've got a lot of time to make all the music that we want to make. So, I think it's going to be good.
And there's plenty of examples of people being successful in more than one rock group. So that's you always got to keep hammering away at it, I believe.
Yeah, and as for me saying I hope this band gets huge, well, I mean, anything that I do, I want it to be a big success. So, I mean, that's where it's at. I'm not trying to go, King's X is not good enough anymore. I want something better. Nothing like that. It's just that whatever project I do, I hope it sells a zillion copies so I can make a living and continue to do what I do.
Hey, Doug, like me, I've read that you're basically a champion and interested in things that deal with conspiracy theories and aliens.
Oh, yeah.
What should the sheeple be paying attention to right now?
I think they should be paying attention to chemtrails, what that's doing to your body right now. I think people should start checking their water. Water is pretty bad right now. And that's not a conspiracy. That's just the truth. People need to read up and study what's going on. Like rice, for instance. There's so much arsenic in rice now that they're not allowing babies to have rice milk anymore. I don't know how many mothers know that. There's just so much going on out here in the world that's killing us. I mean, how many people are dying right now and we don't know why? How many animals are dying of cancer now? I mean, back in the 60s and 70s, I never heard of a dog dying of cancer. But we're giving dogs dog food, processed food, the same crap that we're eating, and we're all dying. That's not a conspiracy. But then you got all your other stuff, the government things, martial law. I mean, I wrote a song about gunfight. I think that there's going to come a time when everybody realizes what the heck is going on here in the United States. That there's going to be uprising, and people are going to forget about their prejudice about Muslims or black or whites or KKK or whatever, and get together and stand up to the government and get our rights back. There's just there's so much going on that blows my mind, and the media, especially the media and the government, keeps our minds occupied on things that we can't solve, like abortion and gay rights and things like that people will be divided against forever. They're not talking about the real things that are happening, the radiation that's coming to California or that's already here from Japan, just on down the line. I could go on and on and on. I'm sorry.
No, Doug, these are crazy times, and I got to say, I'm right there with you on a lot of things that you just said, that people should listen to what Doug said. Go back, if you have to Google some of those terms. There's very interesting things. One thing that bothers me at this point in my life a little bit is that I used to like sports and professional sports teams, baseball, stuff like that. But year after year, it just becomes a magnified, larger and bigger distraction that takes people away from what's really going on. Just, if we could eliminate the constant need for when people die, they're going to worry that, this guy couldn't put a ball through a hoop or through a net or through a field goal.
Yeah, and people think it's so important. It's so amazing. How people focus on things that don't matter. That's why I'll just take it that far. The focus on things that don't matter at the end of the day, the Kardashians or Justin Bieber or all that stuff that occupies the media right now, and people are watching, and it just blows my mind. And I'm going, are you kidding me? You're going to spend all afternoon wasting your life on this when life is so short, dude. Life is so short.
Hey, Doug, what does matter is KXM right now. Any touring plans for the band?
We hope so. At the moment, we're trying to figure out the tour schedule because Ray's getting ready to do a really big tour with Korn, and George is doing his thing with Lynch Mob, and I'm doing my thing with King's X, and I have a couple other side projects too that we're working with. So, we're just trying to keep ourselves busy and trying to schedule it all, make it work.
All right, Doug, great talking to you. All right, keep rocking. Love the new album.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for listening to the Rockin' Rich Lynch on the Radio Show, part of the Soundpress.net radio network. Remember, if you're a band or artist looking for promotion, Or if you'd like to sponsor this show or add this program to your station, please get in touch with us today at soundpress.net.